Like something you see or hear on Twitter and want to give the content creator a tip? You can now do that with Bitcoin, the social media app announced on Thursday. Twitter's global fan base using Apple iOS devices can start sending and receiving digital payments, a feature that was previously limited to a small group for testing. The Silicon Valley company will also launch a fund to pay some users who host audio chat rooms on its Spaces feature. Those are just some of the changes coming to Twitter as it tries to compete against Facebook and YouTube, a unit of Alphabet's Google, in pursuit of content creators who can come with loyal followers in the millions, valuable to Twitter's advertisers. In addition, Twitter is testing new ways to help users have a safer experience on its site. It will now include the use of warnings when people enter a, quote, heated conversation and allow users to leave tweet threads they no longer want to engage with. The social network is also exploring how to allow users to filter out certain words they do not want to see in replies to their tweets, which could be vital in halting name-calling or abusive speech. These changes are seen as key to Twitter's quest to distance itself from a reputation for being a hotbed of controversy and a site where polarized discussions can get out of hand.
The Dow rose over 500 points Thursday as it and the S&P 500 powered higher for a second straight day. Stocks rallied nearly across the board as investors appeared relieved about the Federal Reserve's stance on tapering its bond purchases and raising interest rates. The Fed said on Wednesday it could begin reducing its monthly asset purchases by as soon as November, which the markets had largely expected. Also lifting sentiment, concerns eased about a potential default by property developer China Evergrande, even though it has a key interest payment due Thursday. Fiduciary Trust Chief Investment Officer Hans Olsen does not see Evergrande as a systemic problem for the global markets.
The reality, Fred, is that the Chinese financial system is not as integrated with the rest of the world as the rest of the world is integrated with China.
Investors also shrugged off negative data showing sluggish growth in business activity and a rise in jobless claims. The Dow finished 1.5% higher. The S&P added 1.2% as it broke back above a key technical level, and the Nasdaq gained 1%. Helping drive the Dow and S&P higher, Salesforce.com rising over 7%. With a shift to hybrid work fueling demand for its cloud-based software, the IT services provider raised its revenue forecast for the full year. Shares of Carnival rose nearly 5%. The world's largest cruise operator said it expects to return over half of its total fleet capacity to operations by the end of October. Target will hire a lot fewer people for the busy holiday season this year amid the nationwide labor shortage. The retailer said Thursday it plans to sign up 100,000 seasonal workers. That sounds like a lot, but it's about 30,000 fewer than the number it had hired in 2019 and 2020. Target said it'll make up the difference by offering its existing employees more work hours. It said they should earn $75 million in additional pay. During last year's holiday rush, Target nabbed market share from its rivals, benefiting from its investment in its online business. Many retailers and restaurants worry they'll be short-staffed during the key holiday shopping season that starts in late November. So they've been boosting pay and incentives in a bid to retain their staff. Target hiked its starting hourly wage to $15 last year. Facing a logistics and labor crunch, rival Walmart plans to hire 20,000 workers at its supply chain division ahead of the holiday season.
Air rage is on the decline in the United States after new fines were put in place in January, but the number of incidents is still twice as high as last year, according to Federal Aviation Administration data released on Thursday. As of last week, reported occurrences involving unruly airline passengers were 6 per 10,000 flights. That's a 50% drop from earlier this year. FAA Administrator Steve Dixon, in a statement, said even one incident is one too many and called air rage a, quote, serious safety threat. Numbers remain high compared to a year ago as some flyers balk at a federal face mask mandate on airplanes. Hundreds of passengers have been banned from some airlines, and some have faced $9,000 in federal civil fines for defying mask requirements. Airline staff have been on the receiving end of much of the rage, leading some airlines to cancel sales of alcoholic beverages on flights. Airline unions have called on Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice to prosecute disruptive and violent air passengers. Senior Democratic lawmakers on Monday also requested the same from the Attorney General.
Surging natural gas prices across Europe could hinder an economic recovery in Spain. Energy bills have more than doubled in European countries as gas prices rocket. It's due to low storage stocks and other factors, and has tipped companies into crisis, forcing governments to help cushion the blow. Analysts say Spain is particularly vulnerable to the spike in household fuel bills due to many being on flexible tariffs, with small businesses particularly exposed to the pain. They account for over 61% of Spanish economic activity and 71% of total employment. Myra Maldonado runs a dry cleaners in Madrid. This has affected us a lot because our machines have to be working at all times, she says. We can't depend on a timetable, and this affects us because our machines use up a lot of energy and we can't find another way to do things. We have no benefits, government subsidies or company discounts. Spain's gross domestic product shrank to a historic 10.8% in 2020. Recent indicators pointed to a solid revival of the economy, but the recovery so far has been heavily dependent on spending by consumers, who are now facing 35% annual rises in their power bills. The Bank of Spain, in line with the European Central Bank, insists the rise is temporary and will not affect the economy. Last week, the government introduced an emergency package, reducing taxes and putting a cap on gas prices. Italy and Greece face similar problems and are eyeing measures. But for some small businesses already battered by lockdowns, it may be too little too late.